Hello everyone, welcome to the first of our 2020 election inspector training videos. Normally we would be doing this all in person, but 2020 has forced some changes upon us. My name is Colin. I'm the Senior Democratic Clerk for the Board of Elections.
And my name's Kelly. I am the Republican Senior Clerk for the Board of Elections.
We're going to be your teachers today. We will be going through the normal slideshow. There are a couple of big changes. One thing to keep in mind, along with your letter and your voucher, you were mailed a test. That test has 3 lines on there for confirmation words. Over the course of the video, I will be saying 3 confirmation words. You need to write those words down on your test and send them back to us in order to get paid for the class.
All right, so we're going to begin the training. So we usually start by telling you the numbers in Saratoga County. We have just about over 169,000 registered voters in our county. We have 2 United States Senate seats. We have 2 congressional districts, 2 state Senate districts. We have 4 state assembly districts, 21 towns and cities. We have 196 election districts and 103 polling places as of right now. So first, we always like to thank you. You guys play an important role for us. If you guys, inspectors, didn't do this job, we wouldn't be able to hold the election, so we really appreciate that. You enable the citizens their right to vote. You play an essential role for us. We know your job is long and tiring and difficult, but we do appreciate it. We could not do it without you. So the purpose of your training, as always, is to go over any changes that we have made, and we do have some, obviously, due to the COVID reason. Our new e-poll books kind of thing, you used them once last year. We normally have you sign the inspector oath of office and the class voucher. We are going to send the voucher to you in the mail, so you will get that. Please sign it and return it. And you are going to take a certification exam. That's also going to come in the mail. And then you guys return all that back to us. So your responsibilities as an election inspector. First, you need to become certified by the Board of Elections. That's what you're doing today. You're going to watch our video. You're going to sign your voucher and take your test, and then you will be certified. You check in your voters at your poll site with your e-poll books. You can explain voting procedures to the voters, help them with their ballot as much as they're willing to let you if they want to let you, set up and close down the polling place, and maintain order in your polling place. So we do have early voting in New York State. There's going to be 9 days of early voting. The times do vary, so on the next slide we're going to show you that. It begins October 24th and it ends November 1st. Not all your polling places are going to be open for early voting. There are going to be 3 sites in Saratoga County. We're not exactly sure of where they're going to be yet due to COVID, but we will announce that as soon as we find that out. If you are interested in being an inspector for early voting, please contact the Board of Elections. And our phone number will be probably everywhere in this slide about 10 times. So these are the early voting dates and times. Like I said, it starts Saturday, October 24th, and it goes till Sunday, November 1st. Now you do notice there are certain times for certain days. On the weekends, it's 9 to 2, and then it varies during the week, noon to 8, 9 to 5, etc. This will all be on our website, so you can always go to our website, SaratogaCountyNY.gov, and check that out. The expectations of our inspectors. So we expect you guys to arrive 30 minutes in advance, as we always have. You need this time to set up your materials. We want you to dress comfortably, but we don't want you to have nothing that suggests political affiliation. You need to stay at the end of the night until all bags are picked up. So once you shut down everything, you pack your bags up, don't just take off. All 4 inspectors need to stay until somebody takes those bags from you and brings them to the Board of Elections. You need to treat others and all voters with respect, as always. The expectations of our inspectors. So food, we always bring this issue up. You can bring any food and any drink except alcoholic beverages. The Board of Elections does not provide food. Your town, your political party, a chair person, they may provide food for you, but the Board of Elections does not. So we suggest making sure that you are ready with lunch, dinner, whatever you need, And then if somebody does provide food for you, that's great. If not, you're all set and ready to go. We also do not provide the I voted stickers. I believe we do have some. I don't know if we have enough for everybody at this point, but if we do get them, we will send them in the bag. But if we don't get them from the people that make them, then we can't send them in the bag. We want you to be respectful of your coworkers, as always. Your use of cell phone, we just don't want you sitting on your cell phone playing with it all day and letting other people do the work, obviously. Your food consumption, just eat somewhere out of the way of people. You don't want to be eating at the table with the poll books, especially with the coronavirus, taking off your mask and eating. We'd like you to kind of go in a separate room if that's possible. Please don't bring any political reading material with you. And we always want you to work as a team. Your compensation for elections. So for your primary elections and your general elections, you get $190 for the day. You're there from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. You actually have to be there at 5:30 a.m., but the hours are 6 to 9 for voting. Early voting, like we said, the hours vary, but each day that you work early voting, you will get $125 for that. And then you will get $25 for watching this class and sending us the exam back. To get paid, you must sign your voucher. Anything but your signature that's written on that voucher is going to invalidate it. So make sure you just sign the voucher. If something is wrong, your address is incorrect in the voucher, you're working a half day, please give us a call, let us know. Or we provide you with sticky notes and steno pads with a bunch of paper and stuff. You can paper clip that to your voucher and then send it back to us, and we will make the changes. Like I said, if you write on it, it's going to invalidate it and take longer for us to get you paid. We have about 800 inspectors that we have to pay for the elections. So we always ask you to just give us some time to get these vouchers out. Depending on how busy we are, it can take up to a month or longer. With the coronavirus and everything going on, it could take longer this year. We're not sure. We don't have all the rules yet. So we do have to recanvass the election, make sure we get all your bags back, all that kind of stuff before we can start your vouchers. So just give us some time to do that. We thank you for your patience on that. Your election day assignments. So you'll be contacted by your town coordinator from your party. When working the election, you either have to choose to be Democratic or Republican for the day, to represent that party for the day. You don't actually have to be registered in that party, you just have to represent one for the day. So your coordinator for whatever party you choose will contact you to sign you up to work the elections. So your 2020 election day, the general election is the only one we have left, Tuesday, November 3rd, and that's 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. So before the polls open, when you arrive at your poll site, we want you to call us if the facilities are locked or if an inspector is absent, sick, they didn't show up. Our number is going to be on in your supply bag, 518-885-2249. Now we do ask you to arrive 30 minutes early. If you do arrive an hour early and the building's not open or an inspector's not there yet, you don't need to call us until 5:30. Like we said, 30 minutes in advance, so if you get there earlier than 30 minutes, you can't expect the building to be open that early or anybody else to show up earlier. So again, please arrive 30 minutes before the polls open. One inspector from each party, Republican and Democrat, must be present for you to start opening your polls. If you don't have your other party member, you can call the Board of Elections and we will tell you what to do from there. So 2 inspectors from each party are going to set up the machine while the other 2 inspectors are going to display the supplies, get the poll books ready, all that kind of stuff. The team who opened the machine in the morning, we do not want you to close it at night. We want everybody to switch jobs so that everybody knows how to do each part of the election. People allowed at the opening of your poll site are election inspectors, greeters, poll watchers, Board of Election personnel, which could be your custodians or your coordinators, law enforcement, and your building managers. We give you a blue supply bag with all your inventory in there. We have American flag, sample ballots, ballot marking pens, your little red pouch, your new supply binder, all kinds of things. So if you're looking for anything, check in your supply bag. It does have your town and district's name on it. Make sure you do have the correct one in the morning. We do have a supply binder. We put that in last year and it was new. We hope that you like it. We did hear good feedback on it. So we created a binder that has all the important information for election day in it. So in the front pocket, you're going to have all your signs displayed, and then you have tabs, 1, 2, and 3. Opening and closing checklists and machine instructions are in tab 1. Ballot instructions, write-in instructions, all that kind of stuff is in tab 2. And then your court order instructions, challenge forms are going to be in tab 3. The back pocket is going to have your notice to voters statement that you can give to people and transfer slips. Again, make sure this has your correct town and district on the front of it as well. We also provide you with your electronic poll books, your blue unused ballot bag, which contains the ballot booklets of ballots that you're going to pass out for the day, a red voted ballot bag that will come to you empty in the morning, your privacy sleeves, and blank ballot paper for your BMD only. So opening and activating your e-poll books. There's 2 styles of voting machines. We do have machine techs that are going to be doing another video to explain more on the machines, but we'll run through a quick couple slides of the machines. Again, you're going to get another video by our machine techs to thoroughly go through the machine if you're not sure that you know how to do it. We have a scanner machine and we have a scanner with a ballot marking device, which we call the BMD. Each polling place is going to get a scanner and BMD. Depending on what number you are in the poll site is who's going to have the BMD machine. So the BMD machine is always going to be found in the lowest numbered district. So if you're in Half Moon 14, 16, and 19 and you're all together, Half Moon 14 is going to have the BMD machine. This machine is specifically designed for voters with disabilities. However, anybody can use it if they'd like to. One inspector from each team is going to set up the e-poll books while the other inspectors go and set up the machines. Instructions and checklists are in the, it's going to actually be tab 1 of the supply binder. When you open your supply bag, the first couple things you want to look for: your small manila envelope, which is going to contain your key and your I button to open the machine, your ballot transmittal sheet, your yellow security seal report, and your replacement seals. Your voting machine key, that's going to have a number labeled on it. That number is going to match the number on the side of your machine. If it does not match, you need to call us immediately because you either have the wrong key or the wrong machine, and we need to get up there and fix it for you. Your yellow security seal sheet, which always comes in that little manila envelope, this is going to be used to verify that we sealed up the machines when we sent them to your poll site. So on the left side here, we're going to have numbers filled out of the seals that we put onto the machines. All we need you to do is go around and check and make sure that we have those seal numbers correct, if they're the same ones we say they are, that none of them are broken or voided. If they are not and everything's correct, we need the 2 inspectors who open the machine to sign on the left-hand side. At the end of the night, we're going to have you do the same thing. We're going to have you put the seals on for us and tell us what those numbers are. And the 2 inspectors who did not do this in the morning, we want you to do this at night and we want you to sign it. If any seals are broken or voided, we want you to call us immediately and let us know. Do not remove red seals unless we instruct you to. So if you feel the need to remove a red seal for some reason, call us first and we'll let you know if that is okay. This sheet needs to be signed by all 4 inspectors. When you open your machine in the morning, you're going to take the I button, that is with your key, you're going to place it on the security keypad and you're going to hold it. What we want you to do is we want you to place it on the keypad. When you initially place it on, it usually gives you an error. If you keep holding it onto that keypad, do not remove it. Even if it throws you an error, keep holding it on there. It will go and it will say that your key has been successful. After pushing enter, this screen should appear that your key is accepted and it's validating your election files. If you don't see this screen, you can't get in, you need to call us immediately. Something's wrong and we'll come fix it. You're going to verify your date and time. It is in military time. So if the time's correct, you just say yes. If it's not, you push no and it will tell you how to change it. The machine is automatically going to go through a checklist to make sure that all parts of your machine are working correctly. Just let it do its thing, and then it will move to this next page that says Administrative Menu. When you get here, you're just going to push the button that says Open Poll. It's then going to ask you if you want to print a status report or a zero report. Our arrow's a little messed up, but you always want to print a zero report. That is so that you can make sure there are absolutely no votes in that machine before you go ahead and open your election. Once you do print that zero report, your machine is going to be ready and you're going to be all set to go ahead and start the election. We just want to make sure where it says ballots cast, the number is 0 to make sure that your machine has no votes on it. There's a couple ways to verify that you have your correct machine besides checking the number and all that stuff. Once you print that zero tape, at the top of that tape that says voting location, it will tell you what location it's supposed to be in. Make sure that that is your correct location. At the bottom, there's a unit serial number right here. That's going to match a number on the side of your machine. You can check that as well. And then at the bottom, there's a certification where we need all 4 inspectors to sign so that we know that all 4 saw that there were absolutely no votes on the machine before they started. Once you're done with this zero tape, you're going to put it in your little red pouch. We have your ballot booklet transmittal sheet. These are very important to us. They seem like a small thing, but they are something that we do need to verify how many ballots we gave you and that you gave us the correct amount of ballots back. If we don't have these filled out, then it can take longer for us to canvass the election. So the ballot inventory sheet must be confirmed before the polls open. For primaries, each party's booklet must be inventoried on the correct transmittal sheet. So you'll have a booklet, ballot booklet for Democratic, and then you'll have a ballot transmittal for Democratic, and so on for each and every party, if we're in a primary. This is what the transmittal sheet looks like. The top gray portion is going to be filled out by us. It's going to tell you where you're supposed to be, your town and city, how many booklets with ballots we gave you, what the numbers are, 1 to 500 ballots, let's say. And it's going to tell you who it's packed by and all that stuff. The only thing we need you to do in the morning is to fill out the number of booklets you received and what those numbers were, 1 to 500, etc. We want to make sure that it matches. So the point of this, afterward at night, you're going to go back to your ballot transmittal sheet at the end of the night, and you're going to fill the rest of these questions out. It asks you how many ballots are used, how many were voided, anything like that. We need you to fill this out so that we make sure that every ballot we gave you, we got back. And then all 4 will sign this at the end of the night. But in the morning, like we said, you're just going to need to worry about those 2 parts. I'm going to turn it over to Colin here for this.
All right, so it used to be that we only had 1 machine, now we have 2, because now we have electronic poll books. So this is going to be the quick rundown to the electronic poll book setup. We are going to have another video. It's going to be hosted by myself and probably Cassandra, one of the deputies here as well. So if you have more questions about the electronic poll books, please check out that video because it will go much more into depth in how to use things. But, so, to set up the electronic poll book, you are going to open it up like a book, flip it up, get it set up so that the tray and the poll book are at an acute angle. Plug the electronic poll book in. It comes with the power cord, so just insert the power cord into the power slot. That should automatically power on the electronic poll book. If you're familiar with iPads, it's basically just an iPad. If for whatever reason when you plug it in it's not powering on, there is also a small power button on the left hand side. If you hold down the power button, it should turn on. Again, there will be a whole full video on this where we'll go over everything in much more detail. Once you've powered it on, there will be a large arrow pointing to a button. Lo and behold, you're going to press the button. You're going to get another large arrow pointing to an icon. You're going to press the icon. Once you press the icon, it's going to prompt you to start the election and sign in. Please remember to sign in before processing any voters. It's not super important, but it'd be good if one of the actual election inspectors was signed in, not the first voter who showed up. So, the important thing to remember about the electronic poll book is that green means go. If you ever find yourself stuck in a situation and want to move forward, what you're looking for is the green option. So you'll see here, you start with the start screen. The big green button is start. Sign in. You put a name in, you hit the green button. And then you're at the home screen, that's that lower right-hand corner there. The big green button is voter search. So you search for a voter. You're going to be searching for voters with the first 3 letters of their last name and the first 3 letters of their first name. If that doesn't work, then you'll use other search options, as you can sort of see. And again, this PowerPoint will also be on our website if you want a clearer and better image of it. So, arranging the poll site. In your small manila folder, you should have a poll site layout. In fact, for many of you, your poll site will already be set up. If it's not, begin setting up your polling place. Set up the privacy booths and the table and the machines in such a way that there's sufficient space between all of them. We understand that some of the poll site layouts are a bit closer to fantasy than reality. Just do your best to follow along and make sure that there is sufficient space between everything, because that is the real big important part of the setup. Use red tape to mark distances for 5 feet from the machine so that people aren't standing over a voter as they're casting their ballot into the machine. And then 6-foot distance markers anywhere where there might be a line. Take out your sample ballot, your New York State Voters Bill of Rights, all those supplies that we send you with. Take them out, put them somewhere so that they are prominently displayed, easily visible for the voter. Place your sample ballots somewhere where they can be read by the voters as they're coming into line, things like that. You will also be sent a polling place sign and a 100-foot distance marker. The polling place sign is going to go on the entrance to the building that people should be using to get into the polling place. The 100-foot distance marker is going to go 100 feet from that sign. Now, some of you are saying, but Colin, 100 feet from that sign is basically an empty parking lot. Do your best. Find a lamppost or one of your cars or anything that you can use around that 100-foot distance marker. Tape it up. Use the red hard heavy tape because it is outside. It will be exposed to the elements. So once you have that sign up, regardless of whether or not it's actually 100 feet, everything within that sign's radius becomes 100 feet for the purpose of electioneering. There is absolutely no electioneering allowed within the polling place. No one, not election inspectors, not poll watchers, not normal voters, are allowed to electioneer. Electioneering is the process of engaging in any sort of political or campaign activity within that distance marker. So, supporting candidates, handing out things from candidates, having political signs up, anything like that. So, no vehicles displaying election bumper stickers should be parked within that 100-foot distance marker. For most of you, you're not going to know. However, if it's your vehicle, don't park your vehicle inside that 100-foot distance marker if it has political bumper stickers on it. If somebody comes to you and tells you that there is a vehicle that has been parked in the parking lot inside that 100-foot distance marker for a while, give us a call. We'll figure out where we're going to go from there. If a voter comes in with political attire, Make America Great Again hat, Hillary t-shirt, it's not inherently electioneering. They can come in, they can vote, they can leave. It's any time that they begin to deviate from that process, if they begin talking to their neighbors or just loitering around, then it goes from just the normal voting process to electioneering, and you do need to ask them to leave. Poll watchers. Because it's a presidential year, you can definitely expect to see a lot more poll watchers than you normally would. So, when a poll watcher comes into the district, they are going to present you with their poll watcher certificate. That poll watcher certificate is going to have their name, the candidate or political party that they are representing, and your town and district written on it. If it does not have one of those three, they are not eligible to be a poll watcher at your district. So if it, say you're in a polling place and it's election districts Saratoga Springs 2, Saratoga Springs 3, and Saratoga Springs 4, and they come in with a poll watcher certificate and it says Saratoga Springs 2 and Saratoga Springs 4, and you're Saratoga Springs 3. In that case, they can be a poll watcher at the other two districts, but they are not eligible to be a poll watcher at your district, and you need to tell them that. You keep that poll watcher certificate until A, the end of the night, or B, they are leaving to go to another polling place, in which case they can have the poll watcher certificate back. They will give it to that next polling place they go to. That polling place will keep it. One way or the other, that poll watcher certificate needs to come back to us at the end of the night. Poll watchers may not electioneer, disrupt proceedings, handle any official documents. So, anything that is handled by the election inspectors becomes the property of the Board of Elections. So, they can't touch ballots, period. They can't touch e-poll books, period. If they give you a list to check off, and they physically hand you the list, that list is now ours, they can't get it back. So if they have a list and they want to check things off, they can ask you questions so long as it's not disrupting the procedures of the election, but they can't have you fill out that list for them and give it back to them. Check-in procedures. Greet the voter. Hi, could I have your name and address? Thanks for coming in today. Once you've got the voter's name and address, search in the e-poll book. As we covered, that's first three of the first name, first three of the last name. Search, they should pop right up. If they don't pop right up, there could be a couple of different reasons. We'll cover that in a bit. If they do pop up, they're at the correct address, they're in the right polling place, issue them the ballot, have them sign in the signature box. They take their ballot, they take the ballot over to the privacy booth, they fill it out, they take it to the machine, they insert it, they're all set, they're good to go. If you cannot find the voter in the e-poll book, try another search approach. Other than first three of first name and last name, there's things like searching by address and date of birth. If you've tried those other search approaches and you're still not finding them, give the Board of Elections a call so we can take a look at what's going on there. Remember, in the e-poll book, follow the green path to process voters. Green means go. So unless you run into an issue, what you want to be clicking on is going to be the green button. New York State does not issue voter ID and does not allow us to ask for voter ID except for specific circumstances. So, the only time that you are allowed to ask for ID is if, when you find the voter in the e-poll book, it says voter ID required. Types of voter ID, that is a qualifying ID for the purpose of the election then. Passport, driver's license, non-driver's ID, student ID card, pistol or firearm permit, pilot's license, military ID, government ID, or in conjunction with ID and something showing current name but doesn't have the address on there, a utility bill, a bank statement, a government check, a paycheck, or other government document that has been issued within the last 30 days. If a voter does not have identification with them, they may not sign in the poll book. So they have a couple of options. They may leave, get ID, come back, doesn't cause any sort of issue, they're fine. Or they can vote by affidavit ballot. You're going to provide them with the notice to voters. They're going to say, yeah, I just want to vote by affidavit ballot, and you'll go through the affidavit process, which Kelly will cover in just a second. So, right now, we are going to interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to get to one of the confirmation words. So, if you do not have it with you, please pause this video, go get it. You should have received a test with the letter and the voucher that came to you in the mail. So, if you are all back and on pause, the confirmation word 1 is transmittal. Transmittal. Again, that is confirmation word 1, transmittal. All right, back to our regularly scheduled programming. Address changes. If the voter comes and tells you that they have had an address change, first thing, call the Board of Elections, see what's going on. We're going to get their new address. We're going to check and see, is it within the election district that they are already registered in, or is it moving outside of the election district? If it is within the district, you're going to record it on the event sheet that you were issued with your supplies. The voter will be allowed to sign in and vote on the machine. Otherwise, you are going to provide the voter with a transfer slip to the new polling place that they should be going to. We will give you those documents when you call us. And then they are going to go to their new polling place. They're going to vote by affidavit ballot. The transfer slip is a small blue slip. It basically just confirms that the voter needs to be voting by affidavit ballot. If the voter has a transfer slip either issued by another polling place or the Board of Elections prior to the election, they're just going to vote by affidavit ballot. You don't need to call the Board of Elections before issuing one. Looks like this, except it's blue. You can't find the voter is ineligible. First things first, is the voter in the correct election district? Especially for those of you who are in polling places with multiple election districts, a lot of voters will go to the wrong place. So, when you're searching for a voter, although there will be a list for voters with that first three of first name and last name who are in your polling place, there will also be an option to check for voters in other polling places. So check that list as well, see if they're on that list. If they are, just send them to the correct polling place. It's no big deal, they'll go to the correct polling place, they'll vote, they'll be all set. It's a primary, are they enrolled in the correct political party? That's no longer an issue for this year, all we've got is the general, but just something to keep in mind for future elections. Could they be under a different name? Did they recently change their name? Are they now hyphenating their name? Things like that. Do they used to go by initials? If they're spelling their name correctly, just ask them to spell it out for you. Provide the voter with the notice to voters statement. Call the Board of Elections to consider next steps. They may vote by affidavit ballot, or they may be going to obtain a court order. Name changes. So, this is a bit new and different for the electronic poll book. Somebody comes to you, they say, I changed my name. We still have them under the old name in the e-poll book. You're going to have them sign in. You are going to have them sign their new name in the signature box. Also print the new name under the signature. The Board of Elections can only change the name to exactly what it's recorded as, so make sure you're getting it exactly as it is. Don't do things like put two names in there, hyphenating, where it's actually the old name and the new name, because if you do that, we then need to put that hyphenated name in, which is neither the old name nor the new name. Print that name change on the event sheet. The voter is okay to vote on the machine because all that's changing is their name. They're still the same voter that was registered already. Voting absentee, and I need you all to pay special attention to this year because there are going to be a lot more people with voting absentee showing up in the e-poll book than there normally would be. If a voter shows up in the e-poll book as voting absentee, they are still eligible to vote on election day. They are simply going to sign in like a normal voter. That in-person vote will then supersede the absentee ballot vote, so their vote is only counted once. Please do not turn away any voters who have voting absentee showing up in the e-poll book. It's not a valid reason to turn them away. Any changes that you commit over the course of the election day, address changes, name changes, things like that, assistance provided, please record all of that on the wait event sheet. That's how we know that it happened. That's how we know to take a look at things. Questions about a voter? Call the Board of Elections, 518-885-2249. We are here for you. We want to hear from you if you have any questions, because it's a whole lot easier to fix things then than to go back and fix things later. So, when you're calling us, please be prepared to tell us the town and election district that you are working in, the voter's name, voter's date of birth, and the voter's address. So, things not to do. Hi, this is Joe Smith. I'm at the firehouse. There are a lot of firehouse polling places. That doesn't really tell us anything. Even worse, hi, this is Jane Smith. I'm at District 1. There are 21 different District 1s, so that can mean a whole lot of different things. Please tell us the town and the election district. Sign in only 3 voters at a time. Again, this is even more important this year because of social distancing procedures. If we're just signing in everyone, we're going to have lines forming, and those lines probably aren't going to follow all the social distancing procedures that we have in place. Privacy guidelines. Please issue the ballots to voters in the privacy folder. I get it. Voters don't like them, they just hand them back to you. It seems pointless. Doesn't matter. It's New York State law. You need to hand the ballot to the voter in a privacy folder. Inspectors should never take a ballot from a voter unless it is about to be spoiled or something of that matter, because the voter should be the only one handling their ballot as it's being voted. Answers to questions by voters should be handled from either behind that 5-foot line from the machine or from behind the table at the check-in table. We don't want people going over and looking over voters' shoulders and looking at the ballot or anything like that. Issuing ballots. Record the stub number, gently remove the next ballot from the booklet, place it in the privacy sleeve, hand it to the voter. Tell the voter the color in the circles completely and to look at both sides of the ballot in case there are propositions. I do not know if there are going to be propositions this year because they have until very, very late in the election cycle to decide if there are going to be propositions. So be sure to check the ballot to see if there are any propositions on the back. If there are, tell the voter to make sure to look for those. Tell the voter to wait for the ballot successfully cast screen before leaving the machine. I know that these machines have been out for a decade. I know that it seems like people should be used to them by now. They still aren't. They're still leaving before getting that ballot successfully cast screen, which means that they are still having their ballots be spat back out and rejected by the machine, which is just a headache for, well, quite frankly, you guys as election inspectors, because you then have to deal with those ballots. So it's in everybody's best interest for the voters to wait for that machine to give them that successfully cast screen.
All right, so we're going to go with special voting procedures. So we have primary versus general. Now we are done with the primaries for this year, but we like to just tell you the differences in case people don't know. So a primary is a voter selecting between 2 or more candidates for the same office for the same party. The winner then moves on to the general election. New York State law says that only voters registered in the party that is holding the primary can vote. So if you are a conservative and there is a Republican primary, you cannot go vote in that Republican primary. You have to be a Republican. The general election, voter will select candidate for a particular office from among different parties. The voter may vote any party line they would like, regardless of how they are registered. Write-in votes. So anybody can, a voter can cast a write-in vote for any person, any office whose name does not appear on the ballot in that space. So if you are going to do a write-in for president, let's say, and you've got Donald Trump on the president line, you can't write Donald Trump down at the bottom for the write-in. It's going to cancel it out because he's already on there. You can write anybody else who is not on that line. You can write Donald Trump in for any other office if you'd like to, because he's not on that, he's not actually running for that office. We do have instructions on how to do a write-in that you can find in your supply binder. You can also call us if you need help. And there are actually instructions on the ballot. All right. The write-in votes, when they fall into the machine, they fall into a different compartment. We want to make sure that you guys know this because we need you to separate the write-in votes from the actual people who did not do write-ins. The machine separates it for you, so we ask you to separate it for us. If you see the blue arrow that Colin was trying to get me to click and I wasn't understanding, this is where the write-ins drop. There is a compartment or a break here in the ballot compartment. People who don't do a write-in, their votes drop into there, their ballots, I'm sorry. People who do a write-in, their ballots drop into the front compartment. There is a bright orange sticker also, so that you will know that it is the write-in compartment. And it also tells you to not rescan the write-ins. Some people think that these ballots are the emergency compartment, which we'll go into in a little bit, and they start rescanning them. And then we have a difference in numbers of votes. So we ask that you get the write-in ballots out of the front compartment at the end of the night and just keep them on top when you pack the bags up, and we'll go over that in a little bit. Voting by affidavit ballot. So an affidavit ballot should be issued if you can't find the voter in your e-poll book and they claim to be a registered voter in your election district. If in a primary the voter claims to be in the party that is running in the primary, but that's not what it's saying on the e-poll book. If the voter needs to show ID but they didn't bring any ID and they don't want to go home and get it. If a voter is currently registered in the county but has recently moved into your district, or if a voter comes in with a transfer slip. So these are reasons you would give an affidavit ballot. You're going to call us for all of these reasons. If you can't find someone, they claim to be in a party, anything like that, you're going to call us first. We're going to tell you what to do. The only time that you will not call us to give somebody an affidavit ballot is if somebody walks in with a blue transfer slip already filled out. That means somebody has talked to the Board of Elections already and you don't need to call us again. So this is what the affidavit kit will look like. It is a green bag. It will be sealed when you get it from your blue supply bag. We will not give you another seal for this. So once you open it, you don't reseal it. We're not going to give you a seal. We only want you to open it if you need it. So we don't want you to just in the morning cut the seal off and go ahead and just open it up. Wait until a voter needs to use an affidavit and then you go ahead and cut the seal on it. This is going to alert us. If the seal is still on, then we are going to assume nobody voted by affidavit that day. If the seal is cut off, we're going to go ahead and try to find an affidavit ballot. If you accidentally cut the seal off in the morning, please let us know in the steno pad that you did it by accident and that there are no ballots we should be looking for, because we will go crazy trying to find one. This is what the affidavit ballot envelope looks like. So in your affidavit kit, you have affidavit ballots, and you also have envelopes. When somebody gets an affidavit, you're going to give them a ballot, and you're going to give them an envelope. The only thing that you as an inspector need to do is at the bottom, it's going to ask what town and district they got the affidavit from. That is all you need to do, is tell us what the town and district is. You're going to hand the voter their ballot and their envelope. Make sure you tell the voter to fill out this envelope. There's something wrong with their registration, which is why we give them an affidavit. If they don't fill out this whole envelope, then there's going to continue to be something wrong with their registration. This envelope is a registration form, so this can fix whatever problem there was. We'll go ahead and register them. They put their ballot inside the envelope, they seal it up, they hand the affidavit envelope back to you, and then you go ahead and put that in your affidavit kit and just leave it in there. Voting by court order. So if somebody is not registered for whatever reason, they don't want to do an affidavit, they would like to vote on the machine, they can ask for a court order. So what we do is we have a judge who is basically on call for any voter that would like a court order. Like I said, if the person's not registered, they're not registered in the correct party, whatever the case may be, they would call the Board of Elections. We would then contact the judge and let the voter know when they could come see the judge. They have to come to the judge, wherever he is. 9 times out of 10, he's going to be in our office, but if he's not and he decides he wants to go grocery shopping, you're going to have to go wherever the judge is to get the court order. So what this is a piece of paper. If the judge, you'll go to the judge, tell him what the problem was. You know, I didn't have time to register to vote because I just moved here, whatever the case may be. The judge will decide if he's going to allow you to vote or if he's not going to allow you to vote. You are going to have to fill out a registration form with him and also bring ID with him or her, and also bring ID for the judge. If a voter walks into your poll site with a court order and it is filled out, we're the only ones that have them, we don't share them with anybody, so if it does say court order and it has the judge's signature, you can go ahead and take it. Nobody else will have these. If they do bring in this court order, we need to make sure that we let this person vote on the machine. That's the biggest thing. They went through all this trouble to go see the judge so they could vote on the machine. So make sure you don't give them an affidavit or anything like that. You're going to have the voter print and sign the court order. They're not going to be in your poll book, so this is going to become their piece of the poll book. They're going to print their name, they're going to sign their name like they would have done if they were in the poll book. You're going to give them a ballot from the ballot booklet, and then you're going to place the court order that they have filled out in the front of the binder. So we always want to welcome all voters with or without disabilities. We want to treat everybody with respect. Provide assistance only if needed. If somebody comes in a wheelchair, you don't need to rush over and ask if they need help. If they need help, they can ask for help and you can go ahead and help them, but you don't need to assume that somebody needs help just for any reason. If somebody has a service dog, we ask that you don't pet the dog. The dog is there to do their job, so just be mindful of that. So your accessibility. Each poll site has a ballot marking device, which we call a BMD. It's always assigned to the lowest numbered district in the poll site, which we talked about already. The BMD allows voters with disabilities to vote independently. Anybody can use this machine, however, if they would like to. The scanner voting machines are accessible to those in wheelchairs as well. We just want to let you know they are lower to the ground so that they can insert their ballot into the machine as well. If a person comes in and needs voter assistance, they can be assisted by anybody they would like except for a candidate, except for their employer or their union leader. Now you're not going to know that right away, who this person is, but you do need to ask, is this your employer, your boss, your union leader? And they say yes, then that's the only people that cannot help them at the poll site. A candidate can help them. That's where I was stumbling before. A candidate can help them, assist them if they would like them to. The person assisting needs to take an assistance oath, which we have in your supply binder. It's in our manual. There's an assistance oath. You just read them the oath, and they will go ahead and say, yes, I agree. They will put their name into the poll book. It asks if the person needs assistance in the poll book. They'll go ahead and put their name in, say, yes, I agree. Click the green button, and then they're good to go ahead, and they can help them as much as they want. They can fill the ballot out for them if that's what the voter wants, or they can just be there to read it, whatever they need. They can bring their child, anything. If they come in and they don't have somebody with them to help, but they do need help, they realize they forgot their glasses or something, 2 inspectors from each party can assist the voter as long as the voter is okay with it. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to go ahead in the poll book and the 2 inspectors can go ahead and say, we assisted this person, just make sure that it's marked. We do want to let you know, a power of attorney cannot sign or vote for a voter, but they may assist. So I got a call a couple of years ago, which is why this is in the slide. Somebody called, said, I'm so-and-so's power of attorney. I'm at the poll place and I'm here to vote for my mother, and they're not allowing me to. You can't do that unless your mother was with you. So a power of attorney cannot just walk in and vote for a voter, but they can assist as anybody else would. Remember to record all of your assistance on your event sheet that we give you. So challenging a voter. We rarely have a challenge, so wouldn't worry about this too much. You can always call us on election day if you do get a challenge. We can run you through it. You do have challenge forms in your supply binder. So a voter's eligibility can be challenged at a poll site by an inspector, poll watcher, or another voter. The challenge needs to occur before the voter inserts their ballot into the machine. And as an inspector, you must challenge anyone, any voter whom you know or suspect is not legally entitled to vote in your district. Reasons to challenge a voter would be the voter is believed to not be registered at that address, someone else using the same name has already voted, or the voter is believed to have already voted. Reasons not to challenge a voter: the voter has a funny sounding name. These are all things that we've come in contact with. This is why we are saying it. We've gotten calls on this. Any sort of personal dislike of the voter, you don't know the voter, or you've never seen this voter come in and vote at your district. We get that a lot. The same inspectors work at the same districts every year and they say, I've never seen this person before, I'm not going to allow them to vote. Well, you can't do that. So don't challenge them on those. So what we do to challenge a voter, you have, like I said in the binder, a challenge form. At the top of that form there's a preliminary oath. You're going to read the oath, or the voter's going to read the oath, make sure they understand it, they go ahead and sign it. Step number 2 is a little hairy. Once they fill it out, the 4 inspectors are then supposed to decide whether the person is telling the truth or not, and allow them to vote or not to vote. If there is a tie, the tie goes to the voter and the voter gets to vote. Now here we would say, if the person fills out both oaths on the challenge form, allow them to vote. We did talk to the commissioners. We don't know how you would be able to know if they're telling the truth or not if you don't know the person. So this is New York state law. However, we just say if they fill out both of the oaths, then go ahead and allow them to vote. The court will then check on it and make sure that they were telling the truth. We will figure out what's going on. So once they sign the first part of the preliminary oath, we're going to go on to the next oath. There's a qualification oath. This oath at the bottom says that if this person is not telling the truth, they can be jailed and or fined. So at this point, usually, if somebody is not telling the truth, they probably are not going to sign it at this point. However, if they do sign it, they must be allowed to vote in the machine. So they need to sign both parts of the oath. Make sure they read it correctly. Make sure they understand what they're reading. And then if they do sign both parts, you need to allow them to vote on the machine, even if you think they're lying. You need to allow them to do it. So if the person being challenged refuses to sign one or both of the oaths, they cannot vote on the machine. They can get an affidavit ballot. If the voter does sign the oath, but you are 100% positive that they are lying, you need to let them go ahead and vote on the machine because they're swearing they're telling the truth. They know that they can be jailed and or fined if they're lying. What happens is we get the challenge form back in your binder. We give it to our commissioners. They do some digging, figure out where this person lives, what the issue is, and then it goes over to a judge. The judge will then go ahead and decide what to do if the person was lying, etc. If you have an issue with this on election day, you can go ahead and give us a call. We'll walk you through it.
So, taking a quick break here, guys, to get confirmation word 2. Confirmation word 2 is going to be voucher. V-O-U-C-H-E-R. Voucher. So on that exam, on the line where it says confirmation word 2, you are going to write down voucher. Now back to Kelly.
Alright, emergencies and special situations. We hope you would know in an emergency, If it is appropriate, please call 911 first. We had somebody pass out in the poll site a couple years ago and they called me at the Board of Elections. I am not the one to handle that. If something happens like that, please call 911 first. If it is any other issue that has to deal with the election, you then can you'll call us, obviously. If you do need to call 911, call us after you do that and let us know what's going on. If there's a machine breakdown, you're going to call us, and then we're either going to call your custodian or we're going to give you the number to call the custodian depending on how busy we are. We will get somebody out there to fix it. If your machine breaks down and we say, okay, you need to use the emergency compartment until one of us can get out there to fix your machine, what you are going to do is to continue to issue your ballots from the ballot booklet. There is an emergency compartment in the front of your machine. It says emergency compartment right on it. You're going to take your key, you're going to open the emergency compartment door. It only opens about 2 inches, and there is a little slot there that you can drop ballots inside of. So if you have a power outage, your machine just shuts down for no reason, call us. We're going to tell you to use this compartment until we can fix it. So what the voter's going to do, you're going to give them a ballot like you normally would. They're going to go ahead and fill it out, drop it inside the emergency compartment, and then that's it. They go ahead and go away. Once we fix the machine or we swap out your machine, whatever we do, you're going to go ahead and lock the emergency compartment back up, and when your machine's up and running, and go ahead and finish the election, leave those ballots in the emergency compartment. At the end of the night, hopefully you remember you had an emergency that day. We want you to unlock this emergency compartment. If you turn it and you pull, there's a little tab you push down, you pull the drawer out, and you can get to the ballots. We would like you to take those ballots out at the end of the night once the polls are done and there's no more voters coming in, and then scan the ballots through the machine. If you get an error on any of those ballots, unfortunately, they just have to go through the way they are because the voter is not there to fix it. If you get a ballot jam, this happens in the machine sometimes, the machine's screen will actually display a message to you and will tell you that there is a paper jam. One inspector from each party will have to go over to the machine. One is going to be opening the ballot box door to try and retrieve the jam. The other one is going to be reading the screen. You need to proceed carefully because all the ballots must be counted correctly. You're going to get 2 different options. One of the screens could read results have been saved. The ballot's been cast, and all you need to do is pull the ballot out of the jam and drop it into the voted ballot compartment. So the ballot will be hanging inside the machine, and the inspector can just pull it out and drop it into the compartment that it was going to fall in, whether it be the write-in or the regular compartment. You're going to hit the cleared button to tell the machine that you've cleared the jam, and that's it. The voter can go on their way, and the machine should be all set. If the screen reads the results have not been saved, you want to have the inspector pull the paper pull the ballot from where it's jammed, hand it back to the voter if they're still there, and have them reinsert the ballot. Now, if the voter is not still there, the 2 inspectors are going to go ahead and reinsert the ballot for them because we know the intent of that voter was to cast that ballot. They can be issued another ballot if the ballot gets ripped through the process with spoiled ballots. So I'm going to explain spoiled ballots in a minute. Unfortunately, the types of jams that create results have not been saved errors tend to do considerable damage to the ballots themselves. If possible, avoid reinserting any ballots that have received more than just a little bit of damage. If there is a big rip in it, it's crinkled a lot, whatever, just give the voter another ballot, and we're going to go over that. So these are the screens that you could see. Paper jam detected, results have been saved. So you are going to pull the jam out, and you're going to hit the cleared button, and you'll be all set. And then the second screen where it says results have not been saved. Once you're done fixing that error, you can hit the cleared button, and you'll go ahead. Screen prompts that can pop up to a voter. So if a voter makes a mistake on their ballot, the screen will prompt them, it will tell them, it will beep, light up, and it will say, hey, this is going on, so that they know before they walk away. If a voter makes a mistake, like I said, the screen will explain their mistake. You inspectors can give helpful information from the tables. If the voter asks you to come over to the machine and read the screen and help them, then you can do that, one from each party. But if you hear it beeping, you don't need to run over and help them. Let them try and do it themselves unless they ask for help. Some of the mistakes that you could see are an overvote. So a voter has voted for more candidates than allowed. So the race says vote for two, vote for one, and they voted for two, whatever it may be. A double vote. So a voter has selected their candidate on each party line they appear. So for this election, if you're going to go ahead and vote for Joe Biden, he'd be on the Democratic line, the Libertarian line, and maybe a couple other lines. What they're saying here, a double vote would mean you circled Joe Biden everywhere you saw his name. So a double vote, it's not going to actually get rid of your vote. So what happens is our machine will say you did a double vote. We're going to take Joe Biden from the first line that we see you have circled him on. So the machine knows you want Joe Biden, it just doesn't know which party you want him from. So they take it from the first line, which would be the Democratic line in this case. An overvote is going to cancel that race out. So if you vote for more candidates than allowed, that's actually just going to be canceled out. We're not going to count that race. We'll count the rest of the ballot, the machine will count the rest of the ballot, but that race will not be counted. Now, you do have a chance, the machine will tell you if you don't like this option, you can return the ballot to the inspectors and you can get another one. We also have ambiguous marks. So let's say there was a stray mark on the paper, somebody's hand's a little bit shaky and they can't color in the circle very well, the machine may reject it. In this scenario, the machine's going to light up, beep, and it's going to spit the ballot back out immediately. The voter can try coloring in the circles a little bit better, if that were the case, and reinserting the ballot. If it won't take it, then you can go ahead and spoil the ballot, which we're going to get into in a minute. In order to spoil a ballot, you must give in order to get another ballot, once you've spoiled it, you must give the inspectors the first ballot back that you originally had for them to give you a new one. They're going to go ahead and then put it in the spoiled folder. Alright, so we're on the spoiled ballots now. So if the voter makes a mistake on their first ballot, they can request a new ballot. They need to come back to the sign-in table where the inspectors are. They need to hand them the ballot that they messed up on. You can fold it up. You can scribble out who you voted for if you don't want anybody to see it. Fold it up. You're going to write spoiled on it. Hand it to the inspector. They're going to put it in what we call the spoiled envelope, and they will give the voter another ballot. If you do not surrender the initial ballot that you spoiled, you cannot get a new one. A voter is allowed up to 3 ballots. So if the voter makes a mistake, they get another ballot. We can do this up to 3 times. If on their 3rd time they make a mistake again, at this point we can't just keep giving them ballots. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that ballot and we can put it in what we call the unscanned ballot folder. We will hand count that ballot. So whatever reason it was messed up, the machine would not take it because of a stray mark or anything, on that 3rd ballot, we're going to put it in the unscanned ballot folder. We'll hand count it when it comes back to the Board of Elections. Now, this doesn't mean that if a person comes in and they can't write very good, that they need to go through all 3 ballots. If their first one gets rejected from the machine and they just want to go ahead and put it in the unscanned and be done with it and let us hand count it, they can do that. They don't need to get all 3. The other kind of ballots we have are abandoned ballots. There's 2 types of abandoned ballots, ones that will be counted and ones that will not be counted. So the ones that will be scanned and go through the machine are ballots that are found hanging out of the machine. So if the machine rejects a ballot for whatever reason, it's hanging out, we are going to assume that the voter did intend to vote that ballot because they put it in the machine. So the voter has already left. We call this an abandoned ballot. But since it's hanging out of the machine, we're going to go ahead and have 2 inspectors reinsert the ballot into the machine because we know the intent of that voter was to vote the ballot, but they left too early. The other reason that you can count a scan or a ballot that is in a machine, or an abandoned ballot, is if the ballot is inside the machine and the screen is beeping and lighting up and saying that there is a problem with it. Again, the person did scan that ballot in, they just left before it said ballot was successfully cast. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to push that ballot through because we know the intent was for them to vote. If the ballot will not go through the machine, we're going to go ahead and put it in the unscanned folder. So the ballots that will not be counted. If you find a ballot anywhere else besides inside the machine or hanging out of the machine, on the floor, in the privacy booth, in the bathroom, anywhere else you find a ballot, we're not going to count that ballot. We don't know the intent of that voter, why they left it. We don't know if they wanted to vote it or not. So we're not going to count it. We're going to take it, we're going to write abandoned on it, where you found it, and then we're going to put it in the abandoned folder. So we've got 3 folders plus so 4 folders. We've got our unscanned folder, abandoned, spoiled, and we also have a write-in folder we're going to talk about.
Closing the polls. So we are almost done, thankfully. So, first step in closing the polls is at 9 o'clock. You don't automatically get to start closing down the polls. First step, you're going to announce that the polls are now closing. You are going to, if there is a line, send one election inspector to the back of the line so that no one other than the people already in line can get in line. Everyone then in line will be processed, will be given their ballot, will be allowed to vote. Extra important is this means that you cannot begin closing down the polls until it actually hits 9 o'clock. At 8:45, you should not be closing down machines, closing down poll books, anything like that. It has to be after 9 o'clock, and the voters have to have left the polling place before you can begin closing anything down. Then, once that last voter has left the polling place and you can begin closing down your e-poll books, your machines, getting your supplies together, there are people who are authorized to remain at the polling place. They are the inspectors, candidates, poll watchers. Again, they need to have that poll watcher certificate. Media, law enforcement officers, and Board of Elections personnel, those being our custodians, our machine techs, one of us if we have to come out and help you, anyone like that. Counting ballots from the emergency compartment. So, if you had an emergency that day and you need to open up the emergency compartment, you are going to wait until the voters have exited, open the emergency compartment, process those voters through, and just put them through the scanner. If there are too many to scan in a reasonable period of time, put them in the unscanned envelope. We will count them when they come to the Board of Elections. We don't want you staying there till forever at the end of the night. If you have any questions about the emergency ballot counting procedure, please give us a call, because we know it's not something that you normally are used to. So, once all of that is done, you are going to take the I button, the thing that Kelly was talking to you back at the very beginning of this video, and you're going to apply it to the machine. You're probably going to get that same error that you got in the morning. Just keep holding it down until you get this screen. Once you get this screen, you are going to hit close poll. This begins the process of closing down the machine. Are you certain you wish to close the poll? Yes. Again, only if you are actually certain that you want to close down the poll. If there's a voter there, you're not going to hit that button. The machine will then print the results tape. If you have media, poll watchers, candidates, anyone like that, you are able to print a second results tape for them to look at. You can just take it, tape it to a wall somewhere far away from you and all the stuff that you need to close down, and they can look at it over there. Here's the important catch. That tape then needs to come back to the Board of Elections. Candidates can't keep it, poll watchers can't keep it, nothing like that. Once you have closed the poll and printed the results tape, you're going to power down the machine. Hit that power down button. wait until the red lights go off. Zach will cover this more in his class and his video. Power down the machine, break the seals, remove the poll worker memory card. Remove write-ins from the write-in compartment, put it in the write-in folder. It is a large manila folder. It says write-ins. Again, that is that triangle that we pointed out earlier in the video. So put any ballots that are in that triangle into the write-in folder. We need to be able to find those. Remove voted ballots from the main ballot box and put it in the red voted ballot bag. Place write-ins, unscanned, abandoned, and spoiled envelopes at the top of that red voted ballot bag because we're going to need to be able to find those to begin our recanvass. Be sure that you have counted how many are in each of those folders so that you can write them on your ballot transmittal sheet. Again, this is important, and the faster we can find these, the faster that we can get to getting you paid. Complete the ballot transmittal sheet. Those numbers that you just counted, write them down on the transmittal sheet. If everyone's math is correct, the number of ballots issued and the number of ballots left should equal the number of ballots you started with at the beginning of the day. Close and lock the red ballot bag, record the lock number on the ballot transmittal sheet. Seal the ballot box door and record that seal on your yellow security seal report. Again, remember the 2 people who didn't do the security seal report in the morning are now going to be doing it at night. Ballot transmittal sheet, number of ballots used. Nice and easy. It's the number of ballots that you issued from your booklet. So whatever the next ballot is in the booklet, -1, that's the number of ballots used. Number of ballots scanned, that'll be on your tape for your ballot ID number. Number of booklets used, again, nice and easy. Number of ballots in the unscanned envelope, number of ballots in the spoiled envelope, number of ballots in the abandoned envelope. Nice and straightforward. How many do you have in each of those envelopes? If you are in one of the districts that has the BMD, that tape is going to be much, much longer than a normal tape because it is going to have every single election district's ballot ID number on it. You don't need to worry about the totals. You don't need to worry about the other districts. Just worry about your ballot ID number. So find the portion of the tape that says ballot ID X, Y, and Z. You can find your ballot ID number by looking at the lower right-hand corner of the ballot envelope. Not of the ballot envelope, of the ballot itself. So, lower right-hand corner, find that ballot ID, go back to the tape, find that ballot ID on the tape. Only worry about that. Don't worry about the totals. Don't worry about the other districts. It's a lot easier than it seems like. Just remember to only worry about what you need to worry about. So, again, as I said, you're going to remove the poll worker memory card, you're going to break that lock, you're going to pop out that poll worker card. There is a small square tab next to the memory card. If you push it in, it should pop out the card. Sometimes it doesn't. If it doesn't, get something like a pencil or a skinny pen and just press it in further while using 2 fingers to gently pull the card out of the machine. Pull that card out of the machine, put it in the red pouch, looks just like that. Put your tapes in there as well. If you printed a second tape, go grab that tape, put that in the red pouch as well. That comes back to us at the end of the night. It's got to be sealed up as well. So, any seals that were broken over the course of the day, replace those, record those on the yellow security seal report. Security seal report comes back to us. We want to check in and make sure that everything was sealed back up. Sign the 0 tape, sign the results tape, sign the ballot transmittal sheet. Again, yellow security seal report, you should have had 2 people signing it in the morning. You should be having 2 people sign it now. And definitely sign your vouchers, because if you do not sign your vouchers, I cannot pay you. In the small red pouch, again, you're going to have your memory card, you're going to have your tapes. In the small manila envelope, you're going to have your voting key and an I button. They should be together. Please don't separate those. We don't have spare keys. Yellow security seal report should be in there as well. Again, please make sure that any seals that were broken have been resealed and recorded. Ballot transmittal sheet, poll site layout. Of those, I don't want to say that there's a least important one, but it's definitely the poll site layout. The other ones are super important. Please make sure you get them back to us. In the green bag, you should have voted on unvoted affidavit ballots. Please don't try to reseal this. This is the one seal that you're not replacing at the end of the night. So, in the blue supply bag, there should be the small red pouch that we just covered, the small manila envelope, the green bag, and all the other supplies that we sent you with that came in the blue supply bag in the morning. Put them all back in the bag, we'll sort them out when they get to us. So, coming back to us, are the blue supply bag, the red voted ballot bag, the blue unvoted ballot bag. The electronic poll book does not come back to us. The electronic poll book gets packed up in its case and gets placed in the machine. Place it in the machine before you seal it up, then seal the machine and record that seal on there. So that way we know that nobody has tampered with the internals of the machine or the electronic poll book. So, before you leave the polling place, somebody, whether it's a custodian or one of the chair people that we have picking up the supply bags, needs to have taken from you the blue supply bag, the red voted ballot bag, and the blue unvoted ballot bag. This is the chain of custody. It cannot be broken. You cannot abandon the polling place before these bags have been picked up. Leaving the machine, the privacy sleeves, any blank BMD paper, it's just paper. Voting machine accessories, packed e-poll book. Voting machine accessories, you really only need to worry about that if you have a BMD. Those will be things like the sip and puff, the ATI, anything like that. If you are working at a polling place, you may not be working at your own polling place. If that is the case, please make sure to get your vote counted as well. Either do this by showing up to early voting, and then you don't need to worry about it on election day, or voting by absentee ballot. If you call us up, there's a special election inspector absentee ballot application. Just let us know that that's what you're looking for. You'll fill that out, we'll send you the absentee ballot, you'll be all set and good to go. Again, your job is long, difficult, and tiring in a normal year. This is not a normal year, so we cannot thank you enough for agreeing to be our election inspectors. We could not do it without you. We are very, very glad that you are here. That brings us to our last confirmation word. And that last confirmation word that you are going to write down on confirmation word 3 is COVID. C-O-V-I-D. COVID. AKA why we're having these digital videos. Please be sure to check out the other digital videos in this series. COVID-19 and You, Zach and Alice going over the machines, and then Cassie and I should be doing one for the electronic poll books. So if you need a refresher on any of those, please be sure to check those out. Thank you again and have a great rest of the day.